Hey, as Earth's northern hemisphere tilts increasingly towards the sun, the temperatures outside will continue to increase, so a day at the pool sounds nice and refreshing. But you know, recently I've found myself pondering why people only seem to go swimming in water. Dihydrogen monoxide feels like it's getting pretty repetitive, so why not remove the oxygen and put the remaining hydrogen under such pressure and heat that it will enter a new state called metallic hydrogen and conduct electricity? Because it would kill you. Disclaimer, that is a joke. Don't swim in metallic hydrogen at home, kids. Right, so deep inside Jupiter and Saturn, you'll find an ocean of metallic hydrogen. This is going to be important to the gameplay of Tower of the Planets Floor 6 we'll be building today. We built the first half of it last video, so remember that the outer planets, since they don't have a solid surface, the gameplay is going to be on stilts above them like this. We have one here, and then over here are two more. And so the idea here is you're like descending into the planet. So like you rode down this elevator from the previous one that was like above the planet. But at the end of here, you're gonna ride down another elevator, which is gonna take you even deeper into the planet, all the way down to this ocean of metallic hydrogen. Now inside this box, we had only 2 of them, which fit pretty well, but here I'm gonna put 3 of those platforms, so I'm probably gonna need a lot more space. So let me just make this box pretty big here. I'm using the terrain editor, and currently I just have the space selected. What I'm going to do is go to fill, and I'm going to select water, and then click fill. Wow. Now this doesn't have to be that deep, because if you fall into this, you're going to die. Because like I said, don't try going swimming in metallic hydrogen at home. Alright, so I've created the walls, and there is a floor in here, but there doesn't really need to be one, but it's there anyway. Now, metallic hydrogen would not be this color. Some Google results said it was like black. I don't know, I think I'm just gonna make it be like a shade of orange so that it matches everything else. Now, you can change the color of the water by going to workspace, terrain, and then in the properties, watercolor, you can change that. Something like this I think would be pretty good. Unfortunately, changing that like that is going to change all water in the entire game, so it's going to include stuff that was over here. So, like, obviously, this wouldn't make any sense. What I'm probably going to have to do is make a custom client object that when you step on it, it will change the color. That shouldn't actually be too terribly difficult to make. But when I made the skybox changer inverter, I had very similar client objects to base it off of. A part that would change the water color, I think could be pretty similar to this, but we'll have to see. But then things get even more complicated because later there's going to be a rising lava section, or should I say, rising metallic hydrogen. There is a method of terrain that's called fill block, which will fill a block that you specify with a given material. So that's how I'm going to make like terrain water rise. And I know it's possible because I've seen that done before, but that plus making it be a custom client object might not be the easiest thing in the world, but we'll figure it out. The reason this morphers here is because whenever I do make it rising lava, I think it would be easiest rather than trying to make like going into swimming animation kill you or anything like that. I think it would be easiest just to make an insta-kill that's invisible move up, and it's like at the top of the water. I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon though, so I'll just delete that. An elevator has been installed, or should I say a second elevator. Because what kind of tacky hovel doesn't have a second elevator? Well, this ain't no tacky hovel, because watch this. You go down this elevator, and it will do that transition thingy, then this. Wow. There'll be a few jumps that you better hope you not miss, because if you miss them, you fall in the metallic hydrogen, and, well, it doesn't do anything at the moment, but it does soft lock you, because there's no way to get back up. But it will insta-kill you. So yeah, this will be platform number 4. And it's pretty close to the metallic hydrogen because I put the fog end lower than what it was on the previous part. The fog color and ambient colors are a little bit different as well. They're like more red than they were. But yeah, I want you to be able to see the metallic hydrogen below, and the other platforms will be higher above this one, but on the one after this, the metallic hydrogen will rise in a rising lava thing. You know, something just occurred to me. So since this is supposed to be like this elevator, like where you get out of it is supposed to be right here, what if all these various platforms around here that like appear to just go down forever, you'll see those as well. Whether they really affect the gameplay at all though will depend. What I'm going to do is just take this part, because they're all just going to be in the obby folder, even though some of these are button activated, but it doesn't matter since the idea is that they've been activated already by the time you get to that next part. But first, let me just get a bunch of these and put them next to the ones that are already here. Then I'll just have to remember to move them over a stud. You'll see where I'm going with this. Okay, so now I'm just going to take just a random part. I just duplicated that. It will do the job because this is only temporary. And so I have it on the corner of that, and I want to line it up with the corner of just any one of these that I can remember. I think this one is the most logical to do that for. Now select this temporary part and all these one stud poles. Oh wait, actually before that, I should probably set the color. Should be pretty easy though, just copy and paste it onto these. Okay, now I want to move it all over here and then just line up this corner. And so now we have all these in place as if they continued down from up here. Now what I can do is just extend these all up here. I would like them all to be the same height, even though it doesn't really matter. It was at 120, now it's at 252. So 252 minus 120 would be 132. So I can set my move snap to grid to be that. And that will make the rest of these pretty easy. Now I want to do the same thing for the stilts of these platforms here. I guess I technically could have done them at the same time, but whatever. But I did just remember I need to select everything, including these stilts, and just move them over a stud like that. Except I'll have to do this one separately because I forgot to select it. Okay, now we are going to have a problem here. Fixing it will luckily be as easy as just moving that over. Now I guess that would mean these stilts of this platform would need to go here, so let me do that real quick. Alright, they are in place now. This one was actually on top of here. I could move everything over. I kind of don't feel like it, though, because it would be kind of a pain. Luckily, this isn't interfering with any gameplay, though, and I could continue this down, like, through this platform, but I decided to leave it. So it's sort of like a quarter of the weight of the platform over there is being supported by this platform, I guess. Then I took this stilt only and brought it over here as well. The other ones would be beyond this wall, so it was pointless to put that one there. And so now we have like these poles around here. I think that will add some nice detail as well as making things make sense. I'll put some others like around here as well, even if they don't exactly correspond to anything, so they'd just be like kind of random. Even if it happens to be like, say, what would correspond to a platform here, that's okay. I don't need to like put it back right here because we'll just say it doesn't go all the way up to here. Alright, so we got a couple platforms here. These jumps are pretty easy, and that would take you to here. The platform over there was a button hunt. The second one was like back and forth across this bridge where it gets buffed every time. The third one was purism. This one is going to be avoid the insta-kills. However, they are stationary, so it's not like a spinning insta-kill or anything like that. So I can just duplicate it from over here, which just isn't actually in like the kit by default. You have to make one yourself by adding a bool value called insta-kills like that. So yeah, I would think it's pretty self-explanatory what this is. There will be like insta-kills like this throughout the gameplay that you must avoid. I think it would be kind of cool if you like went underneath the platform. But since like this, that would be above the metallic hydrogen and you'd die if you fell, I think I should do a few jumps over the platform first. So we'll go like just over to the edge here. Then you would go underneath and like back around to here. Of course, I don't want you to just be able to walk over here and jump off, so there will be like an insta-kill preventing you from doing that. Alright, some gameplay has been built going across here and then over the ocean a little bit. And it used a spinner here, and so because I used one spinner, I think it would make sense that I use another spinner. What we're going to do for the part that goes underneath here is going to be a spinner, and as you spin on the spinner, you must spin, but without hitting insta-kills. So I'm going to take a button and put it right here. So I'm going to do that. You have to like do that motion and hit the button, but it's like too high to actually land on top of. I think I could just set it to can't collide false, but let's move it a stud closer just to make it a little easier as well. Okay, so you'd press that, and that would activate the button-activated spinner. There's a button-activated spinner over here on this really bad sun floor. I need to improve it a lot. But basically all I have to do is just put the model in button platforms and call the actual like part you stand on button-activated part. Or platform. So let me find the center point of here by duplicating that and doing that. And now let me take spinning part and just lining it up, particularly this center part about which the spinner rotates, making sure that's just on top of here. Now I can delete that because I don't need it anymore. Now let me decide a color for it. I'll make it a shade of yellow so it stands out against this. And I'd like it to be like kind of a plus shape like this one was, which will require a no collision constraint. So let me take button activated platform and duplicate it. I can remove the attachment because I don't need it. I should be good to just weld it. So let me take button activated platform, weld constraint. Now add a no collision constraint. And basically this will make two parts can collide false relative to each other. So like, since I've connected the no collision constraint between these two parts, as if they saw each other as can collide false, even though they're actually set to be can collide true. I have found that no collision constraints can be a little janky, particularly when you go far away from them. Luckily it seems to be working here, which is nice. Like, if you remember this from the earth floor, this like thing here, I used no collision constraints originally, so it was like these like rails, they just went all the way across. There wasn't this like space between them, so I used no collision constraints, so the walls could just like phase through these. But then when you went far away from them, they just decided they didn't want to work anymore, so like the whole thing would break. I don't know what was up with that. Okay, now I'm gonna put some platforms here that are too low below here, so you can't jump back up, but not too low, so that if you jump to them before you actually are supposed to, like before this is activated, then you don't get soft locked because you can just go back up to here. So I can put 2 like that, so that if you jump here before you press this, you can just go back onto here. But let me put another one so it's a little easier to get onto the spinning part. Okay, now I'm just gonna take a bunch of insta-kills and spread them out around the underside of this platform. Alright, this is done now. It's not that hard. This spins very slowly, but you still gotta be careful. And then you continue up here, and you will go to the next platform. It's probably gonna be moved from there, though. But the next platform is going to be the rising metallic hydrogen one, and I looked into, like, how I could maybe get this to rise. Yeah, that ain't happening. It's like, I was just looking at, like, the local part script and trying to make any sense of it, of, like, how I could make, like, a completely new client object that's, like, not related to these at all. I'm just beyond lost trying to figure this out. And really the only benefit of doing that is that I can make this be actual water, basically detail. It's like, it doesn't seem worth it. And so for that reason, I'm just gonna delete that. I've also changed the water back. However, making a custom client object that'll change the color of that isn't, that custom client object isn't like off the table necessarily yet, off the metaphorical table, because I will probably still need to do that for building the Titan, like floor extension, Moon of Saturn. In place of the water, I'm going to use a part with a beam on it so that I can like, the beam is basically like a moving texture, although it actually doesn't have to be moving. At the moment, I've just made it the Flood Escape 2 lava, but the one that I added just the orange background to, yeah, it's like really blurry, but it's temporary. So yeah, it's because it's not lava, it's metallic hydrogen, but it will do for now. To make a beam, I took the part. This will eventually be part of a morpher, and I'll probably make it insta-kill you too, if I can do both of those at the same time. But then you need to take 2 attachments like this, and then add a beam as well, and set the attachments, and change a bunch of other properties as well. Did actually have to rotate the attachments too, otherwise it was like, the whole texture was on the side, which made no sense, so yeah, you might have to do that. But yeah, now it's time for the rising lava part. I mean, rising metallic hydrogen. Let's start by making this the size I want it to be. I'll make it a little bit larger. Let's go like 90 by 90. So yeah, right about towards the end of here, where I just added another 1-stud pole thing, you can start to see the edge of there. I guess you probably can from over here too, but yeah. And we will end this avoid the insta-kills part with 1 more insta-kill right here, because this is like, you'll go off of this platform after this and towards the next one. So I got the next platform set up. You might notice it looks a little different than that one. Well, I used this like, what do you call the metal chain link fence floor? Sure, we'll call it that. Well, I used that one here because if you think like metallic hydrogen, like rising around here, wouldn't it make more sense if it like spilled over the edge here, and there's no easy way to like do that? So you're not gonna be able to see that because of the fog end. You'll just imagine that's the case over there, and here, because this isn't like solid, the metallic hydrogen will like just go through the chain link wire floor thing. I use the same texture in Tower Fastidious Forensics from Obby Creator Ring 4. And so yeah, I just used the same texture, and I just made the part itself be 0.6 transparency, just so you can still see the texture a little bit better. So let's get the rising lava working now. So I'm going to do this using a morpher. Let me just delete the reset button, because that's unnecessary, I don't need it. And morph and new morph, I can delete those. So now I'm going to take the lava part itself, which is just a normal part with the beam. So name it morph and just make it be a child of just the button. Then I can duplicate it and do that, and call that new morph, and then move it up as much as I want it to go. How about I put it here, and then just lower this, because it doesn't really need to be that much higher than this one was. Yeah, so the part with the texture just like moved up. Does that mean if I just delete this, like the texture from new morph, then the one that now has a texture will just move up, but the texture won't like go away? Yeah, alright. That works. Last thing I need to do is make this insta-kill you, so I can just take morph, and hopefully I can just add a bool value and call it insta-kills, like that. notice the lowercase I? That's a good sign. Actually, I guess that's the only sign I needed, that it insta-kills you. Well, actually, I suppose it might be worth checking that you still get insta-killed by it like that. Yeah. Morph speed, of course, definitely needs to be a lot slower. Let's set it to like 30 for now. Actually, after I build the gameplay, it's probably going to be a lot more. But yeah, you can see it in action at a slower speed here. In terms of gameplay, let's start off this platform with, you gotta collect 4 buttons. It'll be much faster than the button hunt that was over there, though. Here's what I'm thinking. Let's first take a conveyor. And we'll go like full speed on these conveyors, like 100. They'll just be like on the ground here, or whatever you want to consider this. Okay, so basically this will take you around very quickly. Well, you get launched off the conveyor because it goes so fast. Should be a pretty simple fix with just a part like this, I would think. There we go. All right, so I'm not pressing any keys. Yeah. So you don't get flung off the whole conveyor. So I was thinking maybe I would just like put the buttons like right there. You don't actually have to like do any parkour to get to them, but nah. There'll be a little bit of parkour. It'll be short though. We can do like a different client object for each one. So let's just pick 4 of them at random. How about elevators? I'm not picking these at random. Elevators, tilting platforms, falling parts, and vines. I'm gonna select all those, duplicate them, and just like do that, and then just move them all over here. Let's start with elevators. I have something pretty simple in mind. It'll just be like elevator wraps. Pretty simple. And I mean, these have got to be like really short. Like, that's it, basically. I need to actually add the elevators. What I think I want the elevators to look like will be similar to what I've done elsewhere in the tower, such as right here, a selection box. So I'm just gonna copy that, then go here and go paste into, but then I gotta change the adornee to be the elevator. There we go. And change the color too. Let me make this high enough so you can't jump to it from here. That way you have to use an elevator that can be right here. This one will have a speed that's pretty high. Maybe 40 is enough. Let me just see. Definitely not. Well, maybe you could get up there, but I want it to kind of like launch you upward a little bit. All right, 60 seems to work well. I may extend this, I may not. It's gonna depend a lot on how the timings end up working out. But basically, the next thing I build is gonna be a little higher up, so let me do vines next. Oh, well, actually, I guess it's technically called a swing. I'm gonna use a mechanic I used during the asteroid belt, which was you have to go on top of the swing. Not like that. Which is when I have, like, the rope be a short length, you have to, like, do that and then do a 2-stud climb up like that. In fact, this mechanic of going on top of the swing like that is going to be all that I use on this section, which probably will end with that one that I missed a second ago, but now main. Yay! I will add the buttons after I figure out some timings and stuff. Next up would be a tilting platform. This is the sort of client object that you can do a lot of cool things with, you know, kind of like was the case here from the asteroid belt once again. We gotta like do that. That way it's like underneath that, so as you walk over here, it will push that up, but it doesn't move. And so, like, you can do that. Given just how short I need to make this little section be, it's probably going to be only one tilting part like that. Here's what I think would be a cool client object. It's basically going to be a tilting platform that you have to tilt in such a way that, like, an attached welded thing will hit a button. But for it to hit a button and activate that button, it's going to have to actually be a push box. So, here's a push box, except I'm going to delete push box. And instead I'm going to take tilting platform, put it inside the push box model, and call it push box. Now take this part, the anchored part with the hinge constraint, add a bool value called box anchor. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate main, and I can delete the attachment, and I'm going to call it welded part, just so I can know the difference. Then I'm going to do like this, and then maybe like a 3x3 on the end here, and do the same over here. Now go to main and add 4, not wedges, but weld constraints. I can set part 0 of all of them to be main, but then each one individually needs to be one of the welded parts. And so it basically rotates like this, and I'll have like a button up here that you can push with either of those. This one's going to be kind of a weird button that you can push from like both sides. What I'm going to do is take the button base and delete that, and I'm going to position the button like this. I would like what happens is when you push the button, see how it moves down? I would like it to move up and move a lot more than that, like out of view because of the fog end. I can make it go a greater distance by changing button press offset. Let's go like 30. Don't know if I can change how fast it moves, but I can also just rotate this 180 degrees to make it go up instead of down. Might be because those aren't named push box, if I were to guess what the problem with that is. I was kind of wanting them to be named different things so it would be helpful, but if it breaks the game, then I guess I may as well name it something that makes it actually work. Besides, it's not like I'm really going to be looking at this anyway. Could rename all of them, but I think I only need to do like those squares like that. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah, you know what? Maybe just to be safe, I will rename these to push box as well. Looking at that with the fog end, it looks like that. I also increased how far it goes as well because you could still see it if it was 30. Changed it to 100. And the final part is here too, just 4 falling parts. Pretty self-explanatory. But now we're going to move on to the 6th and final platform of this floor. This one is going to represent the Great Red Spot. You know, that storm on Jupiter that's been there for like 300 years or something. And originally I had it planned that it was going to be yet another like timed section where if you run out of time you get insta-killed, like was the case here and here. But it would be less work on my part and add variation too if I instead just make it a continuation of the rising lava. So for that reason, I'm going to make the last platform have the chain link wire fence floor thing again. But lava increasing in height is not the only thing that's going to be gradually changing. I'm also going to put a lighting changer here that will slowly decrease the fog end as well, so it gradually becomes more difficult to see as well. That'll also change the fog color to white red, and perhaps most importantly, fog end will go down to how about 20 by the time you get to the end of this. And the length of time it'll take to get to that point will depend on what I type here. We're going to put 30 for now, but when I figure out all the timings and stuff, I will most likely change that. Let's see it in action. When I hit the lighting changer, it'll probably take a minute before you can really see anything. Let me just like speed this up in the video. And yeah, you can see along the falling parts that the fog end is gradually decreasing and becoming more red. We're also going to have high-speed conveyors a lot on this section too, which will represent like high wind speeds. I'll leave it at 75. Yeah, I changed these to 75 because 100 was like way too fast. Similar to the Mars floor, I'm going to use a lot of high-speed spinners and tight button timers as well over here. This one will also use high-speed conveyors, unlike Mars, as well as high-speed moving parts, or basically a little thing like this. It's like moving back and forth quickly. We'll also make it go on and off of the platform itself, so you alternate like a lot between having a safety net and no safety net. I finished up the 6th platform, and so now the floor is finished, other than some detail and stuff, which I will add later. But let's play everything I built in this video. Last video ended with like what was right before this elevator, which will take you to here, and this begins what was built in this video. So you jump across those, and down here it says avoid the insta-kills. So yeah, avoid those. Here you gotta time your jump onto the spinner and then go to like the edge of it, and then you gotta like carefully do that. Then be aware that there's another insta-kill there, and then one here, and then you want to jump across these one stud things, and you want to get to this button. So do that, and you want to get back to the truss as well. What that button will do is activate the spinner here. If you were to like jump to these platforms before you hit the spinner, oh wait, hold on, you can't really jump to there. Well, okay, you can, but it's kind of RNG. Let me do something about that. The point of like that is so that if you were to jump to here before you press the button, you don't get soft locked. You can still get back onto this platform. So what you want to do is wait for the spinner to come around, then step onto here, and then maybe go into third person. It'll be easier to see exactly where you are to better avoid the insta-kills. So just like take like small steps kind of like this, and then just step off of here because there is like an insta-kill right above there. And of course avoid this one, and so you want to jump to here, and yeah, more one studs, a lot of one studs like that. And you need to go onto this moving part and then onto this truss. You definitely don't want to fall here because there's those insta-kills there. Well, you might be able to save it, so okay. Maybe slightly less don't fall than is the case starting now because, yeah, it's just the metallic hydrogen below. Eventually, as you ladder flick off of here, you will press this morpher button that will be like invisible, but at the moment you have to just do that. That's what that temporary sign says, by the way. Then you're going to do this elevator section, and you'll press that button. It will activate this conveyor, which you can use to get to the next part a little faster, which uses swings. When you get on top of them, I would suggest like jumping once or twice, because sometimes it'll like put you back on the swing, and then it like won't let you jump correctly, and then you might miss the next jump. Here what you need to do is tilt this tilting platform so that it presses that button, and then tilt it back over here so you can get onto that newly activated platform there. Then you want to go up here and across the falling parts, and you got to wrap around here, and then you go up that conveyor. And there was that sign telling you that there's a button over here. So go over here to press it. Then you want to go back, and these little arrow things will help you figure out where to go. You got some conveyors here, then avoid that insta-kill. And the point you're trying to get to before the timer runs out is this platform here. Now you got these moving parts. So what you should do is like do 2 jumps at a time, like between each movement. Then you got some conveyor jumps and an insta-kill wrap and some spinners, and this is an insta-kill spinner, so just time that right and you'll be good. You might also notice it's getting a little harder to see. Well, that's because of that lighting changer just before the last platform. But don't worry, because we're almost at the end. You got to use these moving parts and go across these, and once you get here, you're good. There we go. This thing is like a fast conveyor that when you jump to it, it will deactivate your walk speed and jump power. And this is a lighting changer, and so it creates that transition thing. Yeah, so it's looking like you gotta go pretty fast to complete that in time. So I'll probably slow down the lava, but I'll probably do some more testing with that to decide the best way of like getting all the timings right. Well, that concludes the building of the Jupiter floor, and that concludes this video. Well, okay, technically there's also the floor 6 extension, which is going to be Jupiter's moon Io. That's going to be something we come back to after I build the Saturn floor, which that is what's going to be next on the Tower of the Planets building list. And like this video, Saturn is going to be built across 2 videos. After Saturn is done, there will be another video focused on building Saturn's moon Titan, as well as Jupiter's moon Io. So that's when we'll come back to build that. But for now, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.